Yes. Quantum entanglement is, this again, in quantum theory, they got the right answer with the wrong question. They notice that things are entangled, right? Two particles coming out of the same atom seem to be entangled no matter how far they are from each other. However, if that's true, then these particles came out of the same atom, and the atoms came out of the same center, and the same center came out of the... So that means everything is entangled, right? So if everything is entangled, right, in quantum theory, they don't tell you why. They just say, oh, it's entangled. Oh, isn't that nice? And then they write all the math on it, but nowhere does it tell you why it's entangled. Well, obviously, if every particle is a mini black hole that has infinite curvature, then you cannot disentangle anything from anything, right? And the vacuum connects all things, so all is known. But they're scale related. It's not just a big mess. So if they came out of the same scale, then they will be entangled. If you change one, the other one will change. You see, it makes sense? It's a function of the geometry of space and the fact that every point is a mini black hole that makes it entangled. There's a lady there. Just a minute. She had her hand up for a while.
In this journey and process of going galactic, what do you think are the most important changes or practices that we can incorporate into our daily lives to
have fun? One of the most important practices in your daily life is that you take 5 seconds, 5 minutes, half an hour, whatever you need to take to find your center, to go to singularity, to change your intent from outside to inside so that you can find that point of infinite density that center your existence. And when you find that, right, then I want you throughout the day to keep a log of how far you are from that point, right? Because you'll find that anytime you're too far from that point, you're getting into the spin. And then your day might start not going so well, right? And so whenever that's happening, then if you've practiced, it's easy for you to find center again. If you haven't, then it could take you years to stop spinning from an experience. You lost your partner, your cat got squished by a car, whatever. And so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Very all atoms are still there, Just reorganizing, right? And so, very crucial. Because as you go towards center, you go towards the eye of the hurricane. You're going towards stillness. And further you go towards stillness, stronger the spin is going to be. Right? The strongest hurricane have the stillest centers. And so when you go towards stillness, you have larger and larger influence in the morphogenetic field of the planet. It's like further you go in, more radiation you put out.
Right on.
And so you have a bigger impact on the planet. And when you go in far enough, then you cross a very specific scale at the atomic level, at the proton level, inside yourself, then you become a galactic being. That is, you start tapping into the galactic scale of our experience. Because further you go in, bigger the scale you're tapping into. It's always in relationship. Trinity, the reason for Trinity is that you always need 3 points of reference. What's smaller, what's bigger, and where you are. That's what defines where you are. You gotta know what's bigger and what's smaller. If you go smaller in your consciousness, if you go deeper in your consciousness, you automatically get larger sets of information.
And what practice? You said if you do practice, you get your...
Any practice that turns your senses in, any meditation practice, any prayer practice, whatever you want to do, try to get the dogma out of there and just get in the middle. And when you're there, you're good. Yeah. Go ahead.
Could you share with us a little bit about the cube octahedron, which Bucky, as you know, calls the vector equilibrium?
Yeah.
Because when it does dance, and it clicks down, you actually can go to a golden ratio icosahedron.
Right.
And it felt like that was related to your water.
Right, absolutely. See, the reason why I can solve the double torus in relationship to the cube octahedron is because when you take the cube octahedron, you can collapse it. It torques. You can torque it, and when you torque it, it produces all the platonic solids. But what's important is that the vectors that make the vector equilibrium, when you collapse it, because it's collapsing towards singularity, the vectors, which is 12 vectors going to singularity, produce the phi spiral in space. And I verified that, and I believe I'm the first one to have noticed. And so that phi spiral is what you see in nature everywhere. This is the function of the information moving in and the information radiating out. And it's basically the cube octahedron flip-flopping across itself, producing the double torus that produces all of our reality. And Bucky had that right. Daniel. Oh. Okay, there we go.
Nice ricochet. Thank you.
Ricochet.
One's geometry and one is an experience question.
Right.
When the geometry of the flower of life, how does that fall into your calculation?
Yeah, well, if you get the DVD, okay, second D.
I will, okay.
Okay.
And also, I would love to know what you felt like when you drank that water.
Oh. Well, first of all, the flower of life, if you pop it in 3D, it's not meant to be 2D.
Right.
So it's spheres.
Yeah.
You pop it in 3D, then you put a tetrahedron in each of the sphere, you get the 64 tetrahedron grid right away. Boom, you get the geometry of space. And all the information was there in those temples to tell you how to do all that. And so that's the answer about that. And it's significant because where it was found was in the Zion temple, which is supposed to be where Isis revived or put life back into her husband Osiris. So that's why this rejuvenation and this whole concept of rejuvenation was the main thing. This technology was at the center of the temples of the Egyptian dynasty. That's why there was all sorts of levels of initiation, and the initiate would eventually be in front of the ark, which had this crystal in it that was producing this huge vortex, which is described in the Bible. And when you did that, you would get rejuvenated, and you could live very, very long time and all this stuff. So when I drank the water, that's what I felt. I felt rejuvenated. I felt lots of energy. Many of the problems I had in my body just disappeared. And because as soon as the structure of the water starts going back to coherency, then any impedance where the vacuum is having a hard time moving through your body then gets cleared out. And diseases is actually places where the vacuum is impeded and it's not able to move through. And that's why healers can do what they do. Because a healer comes along and he's got a lot of energy and he knows how to engineer the vacuum, so he sends vacuum pulses into those areas and gets the flow going again. Or he might use a needle and put the needle in so that the flow of the vacuum can go again, and then it clears out, right?